Welcome to the Heartbreak Chronicles, where every story is a raw reflection of life. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned, give us a like to show your support, and share this episode with your friends. Don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, let's dive into today's story. Night crept in and the hustle and bustle of the city faded. In a small, ordinary two-story building, Alex is busily moving from attic to attic. He had a power drill in his hand and a look of concentration on his face. Tools and building materials were strewn across the wooden floor of the attic, and the faint smell of wood shavings filled the air. Alex is 35 years old and works for a local logistics company. Just last month, he was promoted to night shift supervisor. This new position has given him more free time and the opportunity to fulfill some of his little desires. For example, remodeling this long, unloved attic. Finally, I can make this place look the way I dreamed it would, Alex thought as he carefully measured the walls. He plans to install some bookshelves to create a quiet reading corner. Just as Alex was concentrating on his work, there was a sudden, subtle rattling noise from downstairs. He stopped what he was doing and pricked up his ears to listen carefully. The sound seemed to be coming from the master bedroom. Strange, shouldn't Emma be at work? Tim's gone to his grandmother's house too. Alex muttered inwardly. Emma is his wife, and they have been married for 10 years. Tim is their 8-year-old son, smart and active, the joy of the family. Out of curiosity, Alex gingerly walks in the direction the voice came from. He carefully avoided the creaking wooden floor for fear of alerting the people downstairs. When he got to the master bedroom directly above him, Alex noticed an old air conditioning vent under his feet. Emma had complained about the vent, but Alex never had time to deal with it. Alex leaned down and gently flicked away some of the insulation around the vent. He brought his eyes closer to the slit to get a better look. However, the sight in front of him caused him to be struck by lightning, and the blood in his body seemed to freeze in an instant. In bed, Emma is entangled with a man. The man Alex recognizes as Jack, a coworker at the company. The two men's clothes were strewn messily on the floor, and the room was filled with ambiguity. Alex felt a twinge in the sky, his heart beating violently as if it was going to jump out of his chest. He wanted to rush down and question him, but instinctively restrained himself. He took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Has your husband ever satisfied you? Or was he not good enough? Jack's voice came through the vent with a hint of smugness and provocation. I beg you not to mention Alex. Emma's voice sounded a little heartfelt, but with a hint of disbelief. He was a good husband and a good father. Yeah? So I'm in your bed right now, ready to make out with you, and you're saying you're happy with him? That doesn't make sense. Jack chuckled. I don't know why I let you talk me into doing this here. There was a hint of hesitation in Emma's voice, but it was quickly drowned out by lust. There it is. I'm almost there. Alex felt a wave of nausea, and he fought the urge to vomit. His mind went blank, and he could only mechanically pull out his cell phone and start recording. He knew this evidence might come in handy later. Let's see how exciting it is when we have an adventure. Jack's voice came again. It's so much better to do it at your house than at mine, especially in your marital bed. It feels great. Alex recognized Jack's voice. Jack is recently divorced and has a daughter who went to school with Tim. Alex had sympathized with what Jack was going through, and now that he thought about it, it all became ironic. It's too risky, Emma responded, but there was no hint of concern in her tone. Is that what you want to do in my bed? Just outdo Alex? This isn't some competition between men. For us men, it's competition in a way. Jack chuckled softly. You're sexy, but knowing you're married and still making out with you in your husband's bed makes me feel like I've won. The thrill is incomparable. What if Alex finds out? It'll ruin my marriage, Emma said suddenly, a hint of worry in her voice. Let's make a deal then. Jack offered. As long as you don't let your husband know, we won't do it in his bed. But once he's back in the game, we'll have to come back, and I'll have to reclaim my position. I can't exactly say no to Alex. He's my husband, Emma defended. He's a man and needs regular sex. I'll try to minimize the amount of time I make out with him in the bedroom. Alex felt her heart being torn to pieces when she heard this. He and Emma had lived together for so many years, raising Tim together and building this family. Now, however, everything seems like an absurd dream. He quietly descended from the loft, his mind in turmoil. He decides not to confronting Emma right away and instead focuses his attention on his son Tim. Tim is still in high school and needs a stable home environment. Alex took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. He decided to speed up the renovation of the attic and turn it into a cozy living space with a kitchen and bathroom. He plans to stay there until Tim goes to college. Alex felt a pang of heartache as he looked at the house he had so lovingly decorated for 15 years. He doesn't want to betray her to continue enjoying the family, but for Tim's sake, he decides to put up with it for now. He began to devote himself fully to Tim's college fund, and when it was secure, he could begin to rebuild his life. As Emma finished cleaning up and walked down the stairs, she saw Alex in the kitchen. A flash of surprise and unease crossed her face, but she quickly returned to her usual expression. "You're home early today. Did something happen?" she asked, watching Alex's expression carefully. Alex looked at Emma and suddenly realized that there were more wrinkles on her face than before, and the fine lines at the corners of her eyes were more pronounced. He realized that it was probably his love that had kept him ignoring the changes. The realization gave him a pang of sadness, but he knew that it was Emma's behavior that had changed their relationship. "Yeah, a little change at work," Alex replied calmly. "They've asked me to do the night shift starting tonight, so I'm coming back to pack a few things and get some rest. I have to go back later." Emma frowned. "They shouldn't make you work the night shift right after your day job, even if you take a break in between. You're going to be so tired. At least go get some sleep first." "Good idea," Alex agreed. "I'll just go to bed for a while." Emma suddenly raised her voice. "I just remembered, I need to wash the sheets." "That's okay," Alex responded calmly, mentally laughing at Emma's embarrassment. "I can go sleep in the guest room without all the fuss." With that said, Alex turned and walked towards the guest room, leaving Emma standing in place with a confused and disturbed look on her face. That night, Alex pretends to go to work, but actually goes to a sports bar to watch a baseball game. Afterward, he snuck home and slept on an inflatable mattress in the attic. The next morning, Alex woke up and immediately contacted a contractor who was ready to start the attic remodeling as soon as possible. His regular hours are Sunday through Thursday evenings with weekends off. But starting today, he will officially start working the night shift. Emma looks a little surprised to see Alex still there when she gets home. "Don't you have to go to work today?" she asked. Alex explained, "My night shift starts tonight. I wanted to get some extra rest at home to prepare for the night." Emma nodded, but there was still a hint of doubt in her eyes. "So, where are you going to sleep at night? Since we don't see each other much during the night shift, why don't you sleep in our bed?" Alex calmly replied, "I'm trying to get used to the rhythm of being awake at night and asleep in the morning. I don't want to disturb your sleep, so I'm going to sleep in the guest room. Unless..." He paused deliberately for a moment, and, "You want some excitement?" Emma's reaction was just as Alex expected. If he hadn't overheard her conversation with her lover, he might have missed the momentary panic on her face, followed by a barely squeezed smile. "I'm a little tired tonight. Maybe we could just cuddle and go to bed?" Emma suggested. "In Tim's home, he might hear us. Cuddling doesn't satisfy me," Alex replied. "If making out isn't in the options, I'd better sleep in the guest room before I'm tempted. You never used to worry about Tim hearing us, so that's just an excuse. You don't need to make excuses. I'm not the type to force myself on a woman." "You're right, Alex," Emma apologized. "That's a really lame excuse, and I'm sorry. I'm just too tired to be in much of a romantic mood. I hope you understand." "I understand more than you think," Alex responded. "Let me know when you're in the mood, and if I'm in the mood then too, we might have a bit of interaction. Good night." With that said, Alex turned and walked towards the guest room, leaving Emma with a confused look on her face. He knew that starting tonight, their lives would be turned upside down. Emma, on the other hand, doesn't yet know that her secret has been discovered and her world is about to fall apart. Alex lay on the bed in the guest room, staring at the ceiling and thinking. He thought back to the moments when he and Emma had met and fallen in love, to their wedding, to the joy of Tim's birth. All those good memories are now overshadowed. He sighed deeply and closed his eyes. Tomorrow, he'll start his new life, a new life without Emma. But for Tim's sake, he must continue to play the role of a happy husband and father. It was going to be a long, agonizing show, but Alex knew he had no choice. It was late at night, and the whole house fell silent. Only Alex's heart, bleeding silently in the darkness. Sunlight poured into the room through a crack in the curtains, and Alex slowly opened his eyes. Everything that had happened last night flooded his mind like a tidal wave, and he felt a wave of suffocation. He took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Today was his first day as night supervisor, and he needed to get in shape. Alex got up gingerly, afraid to startle Emma. He walked into the bathroom and looked at himself in the mirror. The man who was once vibrant and full of hope for the future seems to have disappeared overnight, replaced by a stranger with tired eyes and a preoccupation. For Tim, Alex whispered into the mirror, "I have to be strong." He washed up, changed into his work clothes, and gently closed the door to his room. In the living room, Emma is preparing breakfast. Seeing Alex, she flashed a smile, but Alex noticed a flash of discomfort in her eyes. "Good morning, dear," Emma said. "I made you some sandwiches you can take to work." Alex looked at Emma's busy back with mixed feelings. Once, such a scene made him feel warm and happy. And now, every movement reminded him of the images he had seen in the attic yesterday. "Thanks," Alex said, barely squeezing out a smile. "I have to go, or I'll be late." Emma nodded and handed him a paper bag. Alex took the paper bag and hesitated, but gave Emma a soft kiss on the cheek. This once loving gesture was now nothing but bitterness and helplessness. Stepping outside, Alex took a deep breath of fresh air. He decided to focus on his work so that he could escape the pain of reality for a while. Upon arriving at the office, Alex was immediately thrown into a busy schedule. As a newly promoted night shift supervisor, he is required to handle a large amount of paperwork and coordinate the work of various departments. Instead, this busyness gave him a touch of solace. At least in his work, he could forget about his family troubles for a while. However, whenever he saw Jack, a wave of anger welled up inside him. Jack seemed oblivious and was still greeting and joking with Alex as usual. Alex fought back the urge to punch him, keeping a calm face on the surface. "Hey, Alex," said Jack, coming over and tapping Alex on the shoulder. "I heard you got promoted? Congratulations. Want to go for a drink together to celebrate?" Alex felt a wave of revulsion, but he managed to squeeze out a smile. "Thanks, but I have work to do tonight. Some other time." Jack shrugged and walked away. Alex clenched her fists, her nails sinking deep into her palms. He reminded himself that now was not the time for revenge. For Tim's sake, he had to stay calm. The night shift is busier than Alex thought it would be. When he finally finished all his tasks, it was already dawn. He drove home wearily, calculating in his mind how to speed up the attic remodeling. Upon arriving home, Alex found Emma already up and busy in the kitchen. She looked a little haggard and didn't seem to have slept well. "You're back," Emma says. "Do you want to eat something before you go to sleep?" Alex shook her head. "I'm not hungry and want to go straight to bed." Emma wanted to say something, but finally just nodded. "Get some rest then." Alex walked up the stairs, but instead of going to the master bedroom, he went straight to the loft. He lay on the rudimentary inflatable mattress and looked up at the unfinished ceiling. He was determined to transform it into a comfortable living space as soon as possible. Over the next few days, Alex's life fell into a strange rhythm. During the day, he sleeps in the attic and goes to work at night. He and Emma interact less and less, and the two are like strangers living under the same roof. Alex went all in on the attic remodel. He contacted the remodeling company and asked them to complete the job in the shortest possible time. He chose comfortable furniture and purchased the necessary appliances. Every detail he took care of personally. This attic will be his temporary haven. Emma is confused and upset by Alex's behavior. She tries to communicate with Alex, but each time Alex brushes her off as being busy at work. "Alex," Emma finally asked one night, unable to stop herself, "what's gotten into you lately? We seem to be getting more and more distant." Alex stopped what he was doing and looked at Emma. He wanted to tell her the truth, to question why she had betrayed their marriage. But when he thought of Tim, of the child who needed a whole family, He swallowed back the words that came to his lips. I'm just getting used to the new pace of the job, Alex said softly. And, don't worry, everything will be fine. Emma didn't seem convinced, but she didn't press the issue further. Alex watched her lost back with mixed feelings. He knew that their marriage was a name only, but for Tim's sake he had to continue this charade. As time went on, Alex became more and more immersed in his work and loft conversion. He began attending Tim's baseball practices and games, which became one of the few pleasures in his life. At the ballpark, Alex meets Tim's best friend Oliver and his mother Sophia. Sophia is a single mom with an outgoing personality that always gives warmth. Hey Alex, said Sophia, greeting him one day from courtside. Your son did great today. Alex broke into a long, overdue smile. Thanks, Oliver was great too. They talked about the children's growth and the trivialities of life. Alex was surprised to find that talking to Sophia made him feel relaxed and happy. It was the first time he had felt so relaxed in recent months. You know, said Sophia, suddenly, I think you've been looking a little tired lately. I'm always here if you need to have a chat. Alex froze for a moment, a warmth welling up in his heart. He almost blurted out his desire to confide, but eventually restrained himself. Thank you, Sophia, he said sincerely, and you're such a good friend. On the way home, Alex's mind kept replaying the conversation with Sophia. He realized that it had been a long time since he'd had a genuine conversation with someone. Emma's betrayal hurt him so deeply that he closed himself off. But Alex knew he couldn't keep this up. For Tim's sake, for his own, he must learn to trust again, to live again. Later that night, Alex lay on his bed in the loft and watched the moonlight spill through the window onto the floor. He remembered the sweet times he and Emma had had, the fun times they had shared. Those memories no longer pained him, replaced by a faint nostalgia. He understands that life must go on. Though Emma's betrayal has caused him great hurt, he can't let that hurt define his future. He wants to create a healthy, happy family environment for Tim, even if the family is falling apart. Alex closed her eyes and took a deep breath. He decided that, starting tomorrow, he was going to get back on his feet. He will continue to play the role of a good husband and father, but no longer to hide his inner pain, but to truly rebuild his life. In the darkness, Alex felt a glimmer of hope sprout in his heart. He knew that there was still a long road ahead, but as long as he persisted, he would eventually see the light of dawn. The summer sun was hot on the baseball field, and the audience was filled with excited parents. Alex sat in the first row, staring intently at the court. Today is an important game for Tim's Little League baseball team against a strong team from a neighboring city. Go for it, Tim, shouted Alex, watching his son step up to the batter's box. Tim looked back and flashed a confident smile at his father. Just then, Alex felt someone sit next to him. He turned his head, and it was Sophia. She wore a light blue dress today, and her hair was tied casually into a ponytail, looking fresh and attractive. Hi, Alex, Sophia said, smiling. It's a hot day. Alex nodded, suddenly realizing that his heart was beating a little faster. He shook his head darkly and refocused his attention on the match. On the field, Tim swung his bat and a crisp hit rang out. The ball sailed high into the outfield, and everyone held their breath. The crowd erupted in cheers as the ball went over the fence. Home run! Alex jumped up, waving his fist in excitement. He turned to Sophia, and they smiled at each other in an involuntary hug. It was in this moment that Alex felt a joy he hadn't felt in a long time. It had been a long time since he had felt this heartfelt joy. Ever since finding out about Emma's betrayal, it's like a cloud has been cast over his life. But for the moment, in Sophia's arms, he felt warmth and hope. After the game, Alex waited with Sophia for the kids to pack up. They chatted about the highlights of the game and laughed a lot. Hey Alex, Sophia snapped. I've noticed you seem preoccupied lately. If you need to talk, I'm always here. Alex froze for a moment, a warmth welling up in his heart. He looked into Sophia's concerned eyes and hesitated for a moment before finally deciding to open up. Actually, I've been having some family problems lately, Alex whispers, and I found out that Emma, she cheated on me. The moment he said the words, Alex felt a wave of relief and a bit of trepidation at the same time. He carefully watched Sophia's reaction. There was a flash of surprise in Sophia's eyes, followed by deep sympathy. She gently took Alex's hand and said softly, "I'm so sorry, Alex. You must be so sorry." Alex nodded, feeling his eyes moisten a little. He took a deep breath and continued, "I've been trying to keep things calm on the surface for Tim's sake, but sometimes it's really hard." Sophia listened quietly, nodding her head gently from time to time. Her presence gave Alex great comfort. "You know, Alex," Sophia whispered, "you're doing a great job. It takes a lot of courage to stick it out for your child. But don't forget that you need to take care of yourself, too." Alex looked at Sophia gratefully, a warmth welling up in his heart. Just then, Tim and Oliver came running over, gleefully discussing the match. "Dad, did you see my home run?" Tim asked excitedly. Alex gave a genuine smile and rubbed his son's hair. "Of course I saw that. You did fantastic." On the way home, Alex's mind kept replaying the conversation with Sophia. He felt a strange relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. At the same time, he felt a little guilty. He shouldn't have taken a liking to Sophia. After all, he's still a married man, even if that marriage is in name only. When we got home, Alex went straight to the attic. The space has been transformed into a cozy little apartment that has become his haven. He lay in bed, his thoughts racing. Suddenly, he heard Emma's voice from downstairs. She seemed to be on the phone with someone, her voice muffled, but Alex could still hear bits and pieces. "I don't know, Jack. Alex has been acting strange lately. I'm worried he might be onto something." Alex's heart lurched. He walked quietly to the stairway and listened intently. "No, I can't go to your house anymore. It's too risky. We have to be careful." Alex felt a wave of nausea. Even though he'd known about Emma's betrayal, hearing her and Jack's conversation in person still caused him immense pain. He gingerly made his way back to the loft, closing the door behind him and leaning against the wall as he slowly slid into a sitting position on the floor. Tears flowed uncontrollably. Alex didn't know how long he had been sitting there. When he finally got up, it was completely dark. He walked over to the window and looked out at the dark night sky, suddenly feeling a wave of loneliness he had never felt before. Just then his cell phone vibrated. It was a message from Sophia. "I hope you're okay. Remember, you're not alone." Alex felt a warmth well up inside him when he saw the message. He replied, "Thank you, Sophia. Your concern means a lot to me." Putting down his cell phone, Alex took a deep breath. He knew that there was still a long road ahead of him, but at least he was no longer alone. The next morning, Alex decided to go to the office to take care of some paperwork. It was his day off, but he needed to find something to distract him. When he walked into the office, he was surprised to see Jack there. The two of them looked at each other, and the atmosphere instantly became tense. "Hey, Alex," Jack said, trying to say hello in a relaxed tone of voice. "Still working late on the weekend, huh?" Alex fought the urge to punch him and said coldly, "Yeah, there's some things that need to be taken care of." He walked quickly to his desk, trying to keep his emotions in check. It was then that he inadvertently glanced at a picture on Jack's desk. The picture is of Jack and his daughter, and Emma. Alex felt a wave of vertigo. Emma in the photo was smiling so happily, so relaxed. It was an expression he hadn't seen on her face in a long time. Suddenly, a thought flashed through Alex's mind. Maybe Emma and Jack's relationship goes deeper than he thought. Perhaps it's more than just a spur of the moment or a physical relationship, but love? The thought sent a tingle down Alex's spine. Even though Emma betrayed him, he doesn't want to believe that she's really in love with someone else. Just as Alex was lost in thought, his cell phone vibrated. It was a message from Sophia. "It's a nice day. Want to take the kids on a picnic?" Alex looked at the screen of his cell phone, the corners of his mouth involuntarily lifting into a smile. He replied, "Sounds like a good idea. Where do we meet?" Putting her cell phone down, Alex took a deep breath and glanced at Jack, who was still buried in his work. He suddenly realized that whatever the relationship between Emma and Jack really was, it didn't matter anymore. The important thing is that he needs to start a new life for himself, for Tim. With that thought in mind, Alex packed up his things and left the office. As he stepped out of the building and felt the warmth of the sun on his face, he felt a sense of relief and hope that he hadn't felt in a long time. Perhaps a new beginning is just around the corner. Perhaps happiness wasn't that far away from him. With this in mind, Alex drove to the picnic site he had agreed to with Sophia and the kids, looking forward to a great weekend. In the golden October, the leaves begin to turn yellow, and there is a special freshness in the air. Alex stood in front of the attic window and looked out, his heart filled with mixed emotions. The past few months have turned his life upside down. On the surface, he was still the same dutiful husband and father, but deep down, he knew nothing was the same. Alex sighed softly and turned to look at his carefully furnished loft space. It had become a haven for him, away from the home downstairs that was full of lies and betrayal. Just then, his cell phone vibrated. It was a message from Sophia. "Are you free this afternoon? We'd like to talk to you." Alex's heartbeat suddenly sped up. His relationship with Sophia has grown deeper over the past few months, but both are careful to keep their distance. After all, Alex is still legally married. "Of course," he replied. "See you at the usual place?" "Okay, see you at 3." Sophia replied quickly. Alex looked at his watch. 2 hours to go. He decided to check out Tim's baseball practice first. Arriving at the baseball field, Alex saw Tim swinging at batting practice from a distance. His son has grown quite a bit in the past few months, not only in height but mentally. Alex knew that Tim must have sensed a change in the atmosphere in the house, but the understanding boy never mentioned it. "Hey, Dad." Tim noticed Alex and waved excitedly. Alex smiled as he walked over and gently rubbed his son's hair. "How was training, champ?" "Not bad," Tim grinned. "Coach said my batting stance has improved a lot." "That's great," Alex said heartily. "And remember, no matter what happens, Daddy is proud of you." Tim seemed to sense something and he looked at Alex seriously. "Dad, you and Mom?" "Okay." Alex froze for a moment, not knowing how to respond. He doesn't want to badmouth Emma in front of his son, but he doesn't want to lie to Tim either. Finally, he said softly, "We have some issues that need to be resolved. But don't you worry, we all love you." Tim nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Alex felt a pang of heartache, knowing that his son knew a lot more than he thought he did. After leaving the ballpark, Alex drove to the cafe where he and Sophia met often. Sophia was already sitting there waiting for him. She was wearing a beige knit today and looked gentle and beautiful. "Hi," Alex said softly, sitting down across from her. Sophia smiled at him. "You look preoccupied." Alex laughed bitterly. "Yeah, there's a lot to think about." "I can understand that," said Sophia gently, "and Alex, we need to talk. About us." Alex took a deep breath, knowing this conversation was coming sooner or later. "Sophia, Wait," Sophia interrupted. "Let me start by saying, Alex, I like you and I think you like me. But we both know that things are complicated right now." Alex nodded, his mind a mix of emotions. Sophia continued, "I don't want to be a third party, and I don't want to make things difficult for you. But I also don't want to give up any feelings that might exist between us. I was thinking, maybe we should give each other some time and space." Alex felt his heart tighten. He understands Sophia's concerns and understands that her advice is sound. But the thought of possibly losing her sent a wave of panic through him. "Sophia," he whispered, "you have meant so much to me. You're the one who's given me back my hope in life these past few months. I don't want to lose you." A flicker of tenderness flashed in Sophia's eyes. "I don't want to lose you either, Alex. But we both need time. You need to deal with your relationship with Emma, and I need to be sure of my feelings." Alex was silent for a moment before finally nodding. "You're right. We both need time. But promise me you won't leave my life completely, okay?" Sophia smiled and took his hand. "I promise. We're still friends anytime." After leaving the cafe, Alex felt both relieved and lost. He knew Sophia had made the right decision, but deep down, how he wished he could be with her right away. Returning home, Alex finds Emma sitting in the living room, seemingly waiting for him. "Alex," Emma whispered, "we need to talk." Alex felt a surge of nervousness, but he forced himself to stay calm. "Okay, let's talk." Emma took a deep breath and began to speak. "Alex, I know there have been some problems between us lately. I want to apologize. I know I've done a lot of things wrong and hurt you and this family. Alex listened quietly, mixed emotions welling up in his mind. On the one hand, he was relieved by Emma's confession. On the other, he felt that the apology came too late. Emma continued, I think we can start over. For Tim, for our family, I promise to change and be a good wife. Will you give me another chance? Alex looked at Emma's teary eyes and felt a sudden wave of exhaustion. He used to love this woman so much, but now, all he felt was an emptiness. Emma, he said slowly, I accept your apology. But some things are hard to put back together once they're broken. We all need time to think things through. Emma lowered her head and sobbed softly. Alex hesitated, but eventually reached out and gently patted her shoulder. Just then, Alex's cell phone vibrated. He glanced over, and it was a message from Sophia. I hope you're okay. Remember, no matter what happens, I'm here for you. Alex felt a warmth well up inside him when he saw the message. He knew that no matter how hard the road ahead was, at least he wasn't alone. That night, Alex lay in his bed in the loft, his thoughts racing. He remembered his past with Emma, the cozy times he had spent with Sophia, and Tim's trusting eyes. He knew there was a long road ahead. He needs to deal with his relationship with Emma, he needs to slowly repair his broken heart, and he needs to create a healthy environment for Tim to grow up in. But right now, on this quiet night, Alex felt a glimmer of hope sprout in his heart. He believes that if he perseveres, he will eventually see the light of dawn. With that thought in mind, Alex slowly closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. Outside the window, the autumn breeze blows gently, bringing with it a new season and new possibilities. The winter sunlight slanted into the attic, and Alex stood at the window, looking out at the silvered world. Time flies, and before we know it, a year has passed. He had been through so much in that year, and his heart had changed radically. Just as Alex was lost in thought, Emma's voice came from downstairs. Alex, can you come down here for a minute? We need to talk. Alex took a deep breath and slowly walked down the stairs. He knew that this conversation was coming sooner or later. Emma sat on the couch in the living room with a complicated look on her face. She looked up as Alex walked in, a flash of unease in her eyes. Alex, Emma spoke up, her voice trembling a bit, and I have something to tell you. Alex sat down quietly and waited for Emma to continue. What happened with Jack and I? It's over, Emma said, lowering her head to avoid Alex's gaze, and actually, it's been over for a while. I made a huge mistake. I hurt you. I hurt our family. I'm really sorry. Alex felt mixed emotions turning up inside him. He'd known about Emma's betrayal for a long time, but hearing her admit it in person still sent a stab of pain through him. Why are you telling me this now? Alex asked calmly. Emma looked up with tears in her eyes. Because I realized my mistake. I saw all the hard work you did to keep this family together. I want to know, do we have a chance? Alex was silent for a moment, then said softly, Emma, I admire you cityscape at dusk. But some things, once they happen, there's no going back. Emma's face instantly turned pale. You mean, you don't want to forgive me? Alex shook his head. It's not a lack of willingness to forgive. Rather, we've all changed. I've thought about it a lot in this year. I realized that the problem between us wasn't just your betrayal, but the trust and understanding that faded between us. Emma lowered her head, tears slipping silently down her face. Alex continued, we all need time to think, to find ourselves again. For Tim's sake, we're still a family. But as a couple, maybe we need to rethink our relationship. Just then, the doorbell rang. Emma wiped the tears from her eyes and got up to answer the door. As she opened the door, Alex heard a familiar voice. Hello, Emma. It was Sophia's voice that. Is Alex home? There's something I'd like to talk to him about. Emma froze for a moment, then said coldly, he's in the living room. Sophia walks in and sees the look on Alex and Emma's faces and immediately realizes she may have interrupted something important. I'm sorry. Did I come at a bad time? Sophia said with some embarrassment. Alex stood up and shook his head gently. It's okay, Sophia. In fact, your arrival may be just in time. Emma, this is Sophia. Sophia, this is Emma. There was a strange tension in the air. Emma looked warily at Sophia, who stood a little uneasily. Alex took a deep breath and decided to confess everything. Emma, Sophia is a friend I've made in the meantime. She gave me a lot of support and encouragement. A flash of realization flashed in Emma's eyes, followed by deep hurt. So, you too. Alex shook his head. No, Emma. Nothing inappropriate has happened between Sophia and me. But I can't deny that I have feelings for her. Sophia looked at Alex in surprise, a flicker of joy in her eyes that then turned to worry. Emma was silent for a moment, then smiled bitterly. It seems we've both made a mistake. Alex sighed softly. Maybe. But what matters is how we're going to move on now. Just then, Tim came down the stairs. Seeing the scene in the living room, he stopped on the stairs and looked uneasily at the three adults. Alex flashed a reassuring smile at his son. It's okay, Tim. We're just having an important conversation. Tim nodded, but still stood there a little hesitantly. Emma took a deep breath, looked at Alex, and said, Maybe we should think about Tim. No matter what happens between us, he needs a stable home. Alex nodded. You're right. Tim's the one that matters. Sophia looked at Alex, then at Emma and Tim, and said softly, I think I should leave. But Alex stopped her. No, Sophia. Please stay. We all need to be honest. Over the next few hours, the three men sat in the living room and had a difficult but necessary conversation. Alex and Emma confessed their feelings and experiences, and Sophia shares her thoughts. Eventually, they came to a consensus. Alex and Emma decide to separate for a while to give each other some space to think and grow. But they promise to create a loving environment for Tim, no matter what happens. As for Sophia, she and Alex agree to remain friends, but are in no hurry to develop a deeper relationship. They both agreed that the most important thing right now is to give everyone time to heal and grow. When night falls, Sophia leaves. Emma went to look after Tim, while Alex went back to the loft. Standing in front of the window, Alex looked out at the night scene and felt a peace inside that he had never felt before. While the future is still full of uncertainty, he knows that he is finally beginning to face his problems head-on and face them with courage. He took out his cell phone and sent Sophia a message. Thank you for your honesty today. No matter what the future holds, you are an important person in my life. A few minutes later, Sophia replied, Me too, Alex. Let's give each other some time and space. I'm sure time will tell if we're really right for each other. Alex smiled and put down his cell phone. He knew that there was still a long road ahead of him, but at least he was no longer alone. The next morning, Alex woke up feeling a long, overdue sense of relief. He went downstairs to the kitchen and saw Emma preparing breakfast. Good morning, Emma whispered. Would you like some coffee? Alex nodded. Thanks. The two sat at the table in silence, but the silence was no longer as disturbing as it had been before. Instead, it is filled with a new kind of understanding and acceptance. Tim had a surprised look on his face when he walked into the kitchen and saw his parents sitting together. Hey, champ, Alex said, smiling. Ready for baseball practice today? Tim nodded excitedly. Sure. Coach said he was going to teach us some new tricks today. Emma looked at her son tenderly. That's wonderful, dear. Remember to eat a good breakfast and give yourself plenty of energy. Alex felt a rush of warmth as he watched the scene. Although his relationship with Emma has changed, they are still family and still love Tim dearly. When Tim finished breakfast and was ready to go out, Alex and Emma walked him to the door together. Remember, Alex said, no matter what happens, Mommy and I love you. We'll always be a family. Tim looked at his parents with a glint of understanding in his eyes. He gave both of them a big hug and ran to the waiting school bus. Looking at Tim's distant back, Alex and Emma smiled at each other. They know that although the road ahead is long and challenging, if they remain open and honest, all will be well. Alex returned to the loft and stood in front of the window, looking out at the sunny world. He felt hope and anticipation in his heart. Whatever the future holds, he knows he has found a way forward. He took a deep breath and gave a genuine smile. A new day and new beginning. Life, after all, is good. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.